Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Tuesday, August the 4th, 2026. The stock market just opened. You just barely heard the opening bell right there in the background, maybe. Everything, not every single individual stock, but all of the indexes pointing up very sharply this morning. Um, where I get nervous when the reason for the move up is something like this. We'll just start right here. Scott Bessent says there may be a deal Tuesday or Wednesday to open the Strait of Hormuz, but it just, over and over again we hear this, and then it doesn't work out, and I don't know. It's a frustrating situation to see this happen over and over again. And every time it does, I hope that it's right. I hope that it's actually going to happen. And then it seems like inevitably we get disappointed. And I hate that pattern is emerging. I hate that seems to be kind of a continuing pattern. It does have oil down again this morning. Oil futures were up a little bit in the early pre-market, and then when Scott Bessent made those comments, oil took a nice drop to the downside. Here we are back down in the mid 70s again, and this is right back in the range. Mid 70s is right back close to where it was just before this whole Iran thing started. This, if you remember right, this was already starting to creep up a little bit, just in a cyclical, pattern like it does often before the Iran stuff happened, and then suddenly there was that skyrocket up to the upside. So we're once again back to being not too far off of where things were before this whole situation started in Iran. So again, I hope this is right. I mean, you look the futures, or not even futures. We're into trading now. Dow up 750 points. It's hard to imagine that we're building so much on a big move up yesterday. Nasdaq up 261, in spite of a handful of big tech stocks being down. I saw that Google, Amazon, and Microsoft were all down pre-market, and of course Google is down right now only about 0.6%, and it was down almost 2% pre-market. So Google not taking nearly as big a hit as it was. In fact, it puts the new Google trade that we sent out, it suddenly kind of puts it back in reach as a valid possible trade. I left mine in place, even though I was going to rethink the strike prices and maybe look at doing something different with it. I'm leaving it set up the way it was, that I sent out last night, and we'll see if it fills. I have not got a fill yet. Maybe someone can update me if they do, in fact, get a fill on that one. I'd love to know if anybody gets in. Like I said, I have not gotten in yet. So that's basically where we're at on a Tuesday morning. I'm still working on some triple play trades to get out to everybody. I would really love to get into a couple of more triple play trades. I did send out another attempt to get into Datadog. We've traded Datadog a couple of times. It's not a stock I am real interested in owning right now. I like it for another triple play trade because we've done well when we've traded this stock in the past on something non-directional. We've had good success with it. And I would love to see something like that happen again. I'd love to get in it again, and in the hopes that it does really well again. So they don't report their earnings. Let me see if I can. I wasn't able to get into Earnings Whisper earlier. There it is. I believe they report on Thursday in the morning. So we still have today and tomorrow that we could, in theory, get into a trade. I wouldn't mind being in them because they've had such a huge run since their last earnings report, gone from 140 to almost 280. So they've almost doubled since their. In fact, did they briefly touch it on that day? No, got within a buck and a half. And they're back up a little bit today. So again, close to it, not quite to 280, but awfully close to doubling since their last earnings report when they were down around 140. I think they could really have a huge move to the upside again or a big move to the downside. So I would like to get in, but and the mid price is not terribly far. It's jumping as high as 250 plus, which on a 250 spread you'll never get filled at. But then I see it occasionally a couple of times just in this what 5 minutes the market has been open. I've seen it go down to 210, 207. So it's still a possibility. It still could happen. I would have liked to have gotten into something on SpaceX. They're going to report when the market closes at the end of the day today. But that's the volatility on those options is going to make it really, really hard to see something like that happen. Um, all eyes are going to be on AMD at the close of the day today. If AMD reports really good earnings, um, you're going to see it boost everything in the chip sector and probably everything in the tech sector. The chip sector obviously being kind of a subset of the tech sector. But if AMD has a big miss, that's going to be ones that could pull the That's going to be one that could pull the Nasdaq down tomorrow. So that'll be interesting to watch. All right, I just wanted to comment on those things. We got to talk a little bit about Palantir. I I am of the opinion that Palantir has been beat up for way too long. That the selling on Palantir, much of it was, some of it was just a pure valuation situation. Palantir, according to a lot of people, and I don't completely disagree with this, it did get overvalued when it was trading at what, over 130 multiple at one time. It kind of needed to come back to earth. But some of this recent sell-off in Palantir, some of this move down, some of this move down, I think was a little bit unjustified. Boy, they absolutely unequivocally nailed it in their earnings report last night. The headline on Palantir, the main headline this morning, if we go back to just the main page here on um, Palantir jumped 16% on, I like this phrasing, otherworldly commercial revenue and what's driving the demand. If you've been with Safe Option Strategies for a while, you remember when we first got into Palantir as a collar trade, and then of course we've had a couple of very successful spread trades on Palantir. One of the early worries about Palantir was that they had so many government contracts, and when the new administration came in, and there was all the talk about cutting back on government spending, the whole Doge conversation a couple years ago. Um, Palantir really took a hit on some of that. And in spite of the fact that there was some really good things going on with their commercial business. Well, they absolutely blew out their commercial numbers this time, and that's a large reason why they're shooting to the upside. It is going to cause us to do an adjustment with our Palantir collar trade. We have short calls at 140 strike out in October expiration. The stock, as you can see, jumped right up over that. It's trading up at almost 151 this morning in the early hours of trading, and it's already been a little bit higher than that. And then we've got a 130 strike price long put that will expire in a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks. So we will make an adjustment to Palantir. And this is one that sometimes when we have a stock really pop one direction or another in a collar trade, I will wait a day or two to kind of see what happens beyond that initial reaction. Sometimes that first momentary reaction, um, things change after that. I'm not predicting this will happen, but sometimes you get a big 20% move up like this, and then you immediately get a little bit of profit taking, and that's kind of the right spot to make an adjustment to your options. I don't know that I'll wait past tonight or tomorrow morning to make an adjustment to Palantir. I think that's going to be worthy of an adjustment right away. Um, it'll be I just think we're going to be wanting to do that sooner than later. One other thing I need to comment on really quickly: Nvidia having another nice move to the upside. Nvidia's earnings is coming up in a couple more weeks. I think Nvidia I think they might rally before their earnings up here to this 220 mark. I don't think they're going to get back to 230, although they could. I think they're going to rally back up to this 220 mark as we see more strength in the chip sector, unless you get a really bad, ugly report from AMD tonight after the close. If that happens, Nvidia could drop back down pretty quickly. We just made a recent adjustment to our Nvidia trade. We rolled our short calls out a week. I'm not going to do anything else before the AMD announcement this afternoon. But a big miss by AMD could cause us to want to do something different with our Nvidia trade. If we don't see an opportunity to exit Nvidia before they report their earnings, and I want to say they're around the 22nd. I'm not remember the exact date right now, but I'm going to find out. 26. I was off a little bit. Wednesday, August 26th. If we haven't found a good exit on Nvidia by then, and I think we could, because I think they could rally up past that 220 mark. But if we don't have a chance to exit before then, we will add probably a shorter term bear put spread to our Nvidia trade just to protect to the downside as we go into that earnings report and kind of go from there. So I'm going to keep working on some trades for the triple play. Someone let me know if they fill on the Google trade, because Google is only down 30 or 40 cents now. So that pre-market movement has mostly been erased. And Google is only down, just barely 1/3%. And so it's still in that range where we might get a fill on the new spread trade that we sent out last night for that one. So keep me updated on Discord if that happens, and I'll update you the same way. And then I'll just keep looking for some new trades. I'm going to wrap up right there. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, and we'll be back online probably to talk a lot about AMD tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.